Yo, what's up everybody? I'm Chris Hirschberger. How do you talk about your business to potential clients when you do a million different things well? I was meeting with a client yesterday who spent decades at the Philadelphia Housing Authority as an architect, but then left a few years ago to open his own firm. He does a lot of really high-power work, both in design and consulting, for large developers, for city contracts, municipalities, but also really wants to be accessible to small residential, more mom and pop landlords, and pretty much everything in between. And so at some point in our conversation yesterday, he just laughed and he said, just tell me I'm crazy. Like, there's no way I can do all these things, right? Just tell me I need to, focus. And I get that. There's a lot of advice out there that you need to pick a niche. You need to, have everything super, super streamlined, cut out all the excess, and just do this one thing and do this thing really well. And that can be great advice if there's a niche that fits for you. But I think sometimes that advice is over-applied because things that don't seem to fit together on the surface might actually fit together really nicely. Here's the questions I would ask to determine whether you need to cut some stuff out or whether you actually have a pretty good thing going. So the first question is, do you do these things well? If not, don't try to fluff it up. Cut out the things that aren't actually your expertise and that are kind of pulling down your reputation. Number two, do you enjoy all these things? There's a lot of business owners that have one or two passions that led them to open their business, but then they have this whole other suite of services that kind of pays the bills, or just from long-standing connections they continue to do, but they don't really enjoy that section. And so if that's what you're facing, if there's these couple activities that you really, really want to do that you love, and then all these other ones that make you not really love your work, I recommend cutting those out. The last main question to figure out if this works is, can you talk about them in a coherent way? Is there a thread that you can identify that even though these are wildly different activities intended for potentially very different target audiences, is there a common thread that unites them all and that you can explain in a couple sentences who you are as a business and all of these things logically fit into that? So the example of my client that I'm talking about, the architect, one thing he kept saying over and over is how excited he is about urban revitalization, how committed he is to the community in Philadelphia where he lives, how much experience he has in affordable housing work, and how he wants to continue to use that expertise helping other municipalities and other housing authorities do things well. And so yes, those are very different activities in terms of what he would do in those different client relationships, but they're all united by this deep commitment to communities, to urban revitalization, and to making sure that housing is accessible and affordable in struggling inner city communities. So to me, I think that's great. I think the homepage should talk about that high-level stuff, present him as a committed, highly experienced person with a unique mix of experience that makes him great for these sorts of activities. And then in the sub-pages, he can speak really directly to the various target audiences. And one last bit of advice, if you are a business owner and you're trying to figure this out for yourself, it can be really, really tough when it's so up close, right? So this can be a lot harder for me doing in my business than it is for clients that I talk to and talking about their businesses. So one of the best things that I recommend is that if you can't figure out that coherent narrative, start talking to other people about it. It can be professionals that can help walk you through this, or it can be your wife, your husband, your friends, your clients, just kind of explaining all the things you're trying to do and seeing if they see a connection that you're not seeing, because that outsider perspective can sometimes see obvious things that we are missing when we're all caught up in our own day-to-day. So that's all it is. Figure out, make sure there's a coherent narrative in the things you do, and if so, feel free to spread widely in what you're actually doing. It's been real, everybody. Have a great day.